This is the Kia Stonic, and it's the latest entrant in the cutthroat small SUV segment in Australia. Remember all those Aussies that used to buy small hatchbacks? Well, now they're buying these instead.
And the compact SUV that everyone is buying is this, the Mazda CX-3. It might be nearly 7 years in the market, but it is still incredibly popular with Australians. But should newcomers like the Kia Stonic worry this long-standing favourite? Let's find out.
Kia Stonic, small SUV. First impressions. What is a Stonic, firstly?
What does it stand for?
Speed and tonic.
Right, so this car...
Does that mean it's a tonic to speed, or which is kind of not what we want?
Well, that probably takes us to the first point.
It's kind of apt that it's a tonic to speed because this car is really slow.
So what is it? 1.4 Atmo 4-cylinder.
74 kilowatts.
So no speed.
This is pulling out of a junction. Oh. It just doesn't have enough snot for me, but it doesn't sound that bad, to be honest.
No, it doesn't actually. It
doesn't sound thrashy or like you're wringing its neck too much.
And pairing with that gearbox, I haven't actually driven this car. It seems to pair quite nicely with the engine. You're not getting a memorable high-performance drivetrain in this car. It's just something supposed to do the job, and I think they've hit the nail on the head with that.
Well, the Stonic that we're in is the mid-spec S variant. So you mentioned before it gets the 1.4 litre naturally aspirated 4-cylinder, which is a bit of a dunger, if I'm going to be honest. It's paired with a 6-speed automatic. What really makes it a dunger is that if you spend a bit more money, there is a Stonic GT line, which gets a 1-litre turbo.
Is that the same one that you get in the Picanto GT? Yes, that's a great little engine.
And a 7-speed dual clutch, but 4 or 5 grand more expensive. It's a 30 grand car, which is a lot for a pint-sized SUV.
You know, I like what they've done with the interior. It's not pretentious. They're not trying to make it something it's not. It still feels a little bit my first kind of Kia, but it wears it on its sleeve, and I respect it for that.
It does. I like the fundamentals of the layout and the design. What I don't like, the plastics. They are cheap. They are hard. It really lets the ambience down in here.
And like, why do manufacturers still do that? Like, this is, I can actually live with it when they save the crappy plastics for in the back where people don't spend a lot of time. Surely it doesn't cost that much. It wouldn't add that much to the bottom line to have just a slightly nicer feeling material. I don't get it.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know the other thing that has really impressed me so far? The ride quality.
Well,
this car is on 17 inches, Aussie specific suspension tune. We're going over lots and lots of speed bumps now. I think it's pretty good, it's pretty supple, recovers well, there's no sort of double movement from the dampers.
Yeah, totally. Locally tuned suspension. The guys that do that, led by Graham Gambold, they know what Aussies want, they know what the roads are like, and the result is, here's a great case in point. Really poorly maintained road, but it's just kind of taking it in its stride, particularly for a small car, and as you point out, big wheels as well. And while we're talking about peace of mind, this car obviously gets the 7-year warranty and deal that you get that every Kia gets, which is a massive plus point for it.
Absolutely. It's pretty much a set and forget car in a lot of ways, from an ownership perspective.
Practical features for a relatively small car. It is small, let's be honest.
It is.
But it doesn't feel claustrophobic. They've made good use of the space. There's like, seriously, loads of little cubbies and pockets everywhere. 2 cup holders down here, big door pockets.
Airy cabin.
Airy cabin, like they've
good visibility.
Really made good use of the space, absolutely.
So there are a lot of things we like about this car. Gets the fundamentals right, let down by cheap interior plastics, and the drivetrain in this one isn't something that I would recommend. And that kind of speaks to my biggest issue with this car, is that it doesn't feel very cutting edge. It doesn't feel like it's a brand new product. You know why? Because it's not.
No, it isn't. This thing has been around for, what?
4 years now?
Exactly.
And it's new to Australia,
yes,
but it's been on sale in overseas markets, and we've only just got the facelifted variant.
But for a large majority of the population, people don't really want anything dramatic or particularly memorable. Speaking of which, there's nothing dramatic or particularly memorable about that. They just want a car that does the job, and this car absolutely does do a lot for your money by just being a bit benign and sort of, yeah, forgettable.
I get the point you're making. What about the way that it looks?
cars of this size are inherently very difficult to style well.
Yeah.
You can make them cute and, but, like pugs are cute, but they're also really ugly,
And fundamentally flawed.
Exactly, genetically massively flawed. So yeah, I like what Kia's done with the styling of this thing. They've done a great job in what is a very difficult segment to style correctly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it looks kind of, boxy and square and kind of ruggedly handsome in a few ways, I think.
I think that's a really good way of describing it. It's actually got quite a nice stance on the road. It manages to sort of use those proportions to look stable and imposing rather than sort of diminutive and a bit threatened.
Equipment-wise, this being a Kia, it's been crammed full of everything you want. Blind spot detection, lane keep assist, lane follow assist, and all of that active safety gear that you want.
Totally, and especially if you're considering this car for perhaps a younger driver, first-time driver. I'm not saying those safety features aren't valuable for any driver, but it's a big consideration in this particular segment as well.
And what about the back seat, Dan? I think it's time to get back there, my friend.
Well, actually, probably best place to start is what you don't get back here. Not a lot, Alex. There's not a huge amount of equipment. Obviously, electric windows.
Yes, win.
There is one seat back pocket on one side only, not on the driver's side. What I do have, though, is a little USB charger down here. That's nice. And the other thing I have is lots of room. I was quite surprised getting back here. You're in a comfortable driver's position there, and I have enough leg room.
And I'm not a short person. I'm 188 centimeters tall, so...
Oh, stop bragging. I think I'm just shy of that. But yeah, so the two of us in a line here both have enough space. Headroom is as generous as the front row as well. Yeah, generally speaking, a pretty impressive place to be.
How's your center armrest?
There isn't one. Thanks for pointing that out. No, there is not one. That goes on the list of omitted equipment. Yeah, it's a bit Spartan when it comes to kit, but space and comfort.
How's your seat? Do you have enough under-thigh support? Is it deep enough?
I always have this problem on second row seats, is there's never really enough under-thigh support. For a normally proportioned human, they're probably going to get on a little bit better, I would imagine. It's not adjustable in any way at all. Probably no surprises there for a small, reasonably priced SUV.
But overall, a good spot to sit, I would say.
Absolutely. Alex, in 2020, Mazda sold nearly 14,000 of these. That accounts for almost half of the entire compact SUV segment.
Aussies love the CX-3, which is amazing because it's kind of old now. It's getting towards the end of its product cycle. It's been on the market for 7 years.
Yes.
We can't buy enough of them, it seems.
Exactly. I mean, it does appeal to Aussies in a number of different ways, but to try and keep that package a little bit fresh, it has had an update.
Update is the right word. Facelift is too much of a stretch because we're talking the lightest of little updates with this one.
Yeah, where do we start? So, the new key. How good is the new key?
I love a new key fob. It is a good one though. It is good. And they've also increased the sensitivity of the auto headlights.
Oh, that's nice. They've been on like some kind of course to be more compassionate. That's really sweet. Also, there's a new badge on the back that sort of ties in with the whole family look of all the badging of Mazdas now.
Yes, we are being a little bit silly, but the point is, it's a light update. One thing that is a good benefit though, is that they have updated the AEB system so that it now recognises pedestrians and cyclists at night time.
Oh,
that's a genuine benefit.
Definitely, and quite clever actually. I wonder how they do that. Anyway, either way, it does it.
But one thing they have done is they've added a few variants to the range, of which this is one of them.
Yeah, so this is the Max Sport LE. Yes. So not exactly a fair comparison to the Kia because the LE means it's a little bit more expensive, doesn't it?
Yeah, so $800 more than the regular Max Sport front-wheel drive.
And what do you get for that?
Well, you get this funky interior colour scheme, I guess you would call it.
Funky is probably kind. You can't change that, can you? If you go for the LE, you only have that choice of this sort of coffee-coloured synthetic suede and what do they call it? Pure white leatherette. But a practical feature is we're both wearing fairly dark blue jeans. This white leather is not going to last 3 long-haul drives before it starts to get that sort of weird grey-blue colour.
Yeah, that's right. And this suede material, I think it is going to get a bit scummy and feel like it has about the DNA of 15,000 people in it in a few years' time. Yes. So, but cabin ambience, it's very nice in here. I think it does feel a step above in terms of material quality and fit and finish over the Kia.
It definitely does. The fit and finish and the feel of this cabin is one of the things that carries over, and I'm really pleased about that.
One thing that hasn't changed, the mechanicals of this car. So we get a 2-litre naturally aspirated engine, so much bigger capacity donk, and we get, go for it, Dan. Oh, okay, it doesn't sound the best, but that is much sprightlier performance than you get in the Kia.
It is. I agree entirely on both those points there. The sound is all wrong. It sounds buzzy and kind of vibratey and weird. And do you remember a time when 2 litres was kind of a bit of a performance benchmark? You know, a 2-litre engine in something of this size and weight, you'd be like, that's going to be quick. Don't even have to look at the figures on paper. It doesn't feel it.
I'm going to disagree with you slightly on that, because after the nail, which was the Kia Stonic for me, 1.4 litre, you know, we do get a big bump in power and torque in this car. It's 110 kilowatts and 195 newton meters.
Versus 70 something.
74 kilowatts and 132 newton meters or thereabouts. So it's like a 45% increase in both metrics, which is significant.
That is significant. And on paper, that looks and sounds great. I'm just not sure whether it translates to an actual sort of nearly 50% increase in performance.
Yeah, fair play, but you do get more oomph in this car.
Definitely.
You know, one of the other things you get in a CX-3 that you don't get in a Stonic is a lot more choice. So the model range spans 15 different variants.
Isn't that many now?
It's huge.
Versus 3 in the Stonic.
Yes, exactly. And it includes all-wheel drive versions, which you don't get in the Stonic.
But this isn't one, is it? You can only have the Max Sport LE in front-wheel drive.
Correct. And from hard-earned experience, you know, us driving these cars over a number of years, if you're a person that cares about driving your small SUV, go for an all-wheel drive one because they're much more fun. But today we are in the front-wheel drive car, which is the rival for the Stonic, so let's focus on this one. What about the ride quality, which is an interesting thing, because this car rolls on 16-inch wheels, where the Stonic is on 17, so you think it would be slightly better in this?
Yeah, and actually I think it's not the case at all. I think the Stonic is the one that rides beautifully. Perhaps it's because of that local attention to the chassis and tuning. Yeah, this one just feels a little more ungainly, a little sort of more, I don't know, less graceful.
Yeah, a wee bit underdamped, dare I say.
Yeah.
I think you do get the benefit of the chunkier sidewalls. There's less sort of small, nibbly stuff coming into the cabin, but the bigger bumps, this car takes a little bit longer to recover than the Stonic does.
Biggest issue for me with this car though is it feels very small. It's a tiny.
It does. We feel closer to one another and less headroom.
Yeah.
You do feel a bit more hemmed in, where the Stonic has an area.
But the thing I really want to explore, Alex, or perhaps I should say the thing I really want you to explore is what the back seat's like.
All right, I'll jump back there. Okay, Dan, in the back, and I feel like I'm giving your kidneys a massive workout with my kneecaps because I have 0 knee room. Can you feel that?
Yeah, absolutely. Just a little bit lower would be lovely, thank you.
Oh yeah, I do have lots of toe room though, which is nice. But it is a much more cramped back seat back here.
Any USB charging at all?
Nope, no USBs, but I do get a center armrest with 2 cup holders, which you don't get in the Kia. But you also don't get as much headroom as you do in the Kia. And I do feel way more hemmed in here. If I had to pick a back seat to spend a decent amount of time in, it would definitely be the Stonic, because back here, for a person of my size and frame, I don't have much room, unfortunately. One of the most important things in this class of vehicle is the infotainment system and what technology that has, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, etc. So I thought we'd do a quick test in each car to see which one has the better system. We'll start by switching it on and then seeing how quickly we can access Apple CarPlay.
Oh, good challenge.
Put a destination in the nav, so I'll get you to time me for that. There is one thing we should point out in the Stonic before we do it, is that in this mid-spec S and top-spec GT line, you do need a cord to access CarPlay and Android Auto, but in the base car, you don't. It's wireless.
So in the entry-level cheapest version, you get the better system.
Yeah, it's a weird spec anomaly for cars in Australia, but hey, there you go. Win if you buy the cheapest car.
Absolutely. Right.
All right, so I'm gonna have to turn the car on, connect it all. You tell me when to go.
I'll start timing when you hit that start button.
And go. This car does have some really annoying bongs.
Like binging and bonging. That again is another thing people complain about, isn't it?
This is quite fast though.
Whoa, straight in.
Impressive.
That
Here
was
we
like
go.
10
Add
seconds.
destination.
Where are we going to go?
I'm going to go to work.
No, of all the places you could choose. Ready to go?
I love my job. Done.
That was 18 seconds thereabout.
That's very impressive. But listen, We've got a crackling fireplace happening, which is one of the features of this car.
Tell me. Oh, that's like the Carnival's got that. And
yes, it does.
What? Just please.
Unplug CarPlay now and go into something called Sounds of Nature.
Sounds of Nature.
Which has warm fireplace.
So that's what we got at the moment.
Snowy village, but my favourite, rainy day, which sounds like a leaking tap.
Or a dodgy warehouse with a hole in the roof.
Personally, I think this is all a bit naff and a bit weird, but anyway, the rest of the system, again, really good, fast and responsive.
It's really nicely done. Design's awesome.
It's a high-res screen for sure. 8 inches, so an inch larger than you get in the Mazda. I think it's a really good system.
And it doesn't look like it's sort of plonked on as an afterthought. It's
integrated into the
definitely, dash. Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good system. It's going to be a hard act to follow. And I suspect the Mazda probably won't follow very well. Being so much older.
Well, let's find out.
Okay. Right, we're going to run the same test again, this time in the Mazda. I suspect that it's going to take a little bit longer because the main problem is, can you even see that screen?
It is a little inadequate, 7 inches compared to 8 inches, but it does feel and look a lot smaller.
It does.
In real life, but I'm going to run both tests for consistency to try to, remove that variable of humanness.
I know what you're saying. Yeah. I'm a Luddite and I'm terrible at technology. Okay, I'll just
ready to go?
Stopwatch. Yes.
You tell me when to go.
Go.
Car is turning on. System is firing up.
Actually, of all this, like the Mazda system has always been quite quick to boot.
No, this is taking longer.
This is not looking great. Okay.
Here we go. Yep. Agree. CarPlay has finally come up.
And still now it's loading navigate. Oh, this is new destination.
No, that's the car's nav, not Apple CarPlay. Here we go. Now CarPlay has popped up. Add destination, work, and we are done.
Ooh, 34
almost
seconds.
Twice as long.
We did think it was going to be a little bit, I didn't expect it to be quite that much slower, but there we go.
No, me neither. So let's have a play with the system itself.
It is a touchscreen, but it doesn't really look like it, does it? You can use the dial down here, which I actually am always a big fan of. It's kind of a bit like BMW's original iDrive system.
Yep.
It works really, really beautifully, but you can opt in for the touchscreen as well. I kind of like that doubling up.
It's good that there's both, because when you're driving, the screen is just a little bit too far away to reach safely without leaning forward in your seat.
This looks a little kind of 90s and dated now, but it still works really nicely. I really do have a lot of time for the system. It's quite intuitive and easy to use.
I prefer the system in the Kia. I find it just a little easier to navigate, a little simpler. Both systems, of course, if you own the car, you're going to get used to them very, very quickly. But on first blush, I think the system in the Kia is easier to navigate.
100%, looks nicer, looks way more up to date. Both are completely functional, but as we keep finding with this car, there's so many little earmarks of its age, and that's another one.
Yeah, the resolution of the screen on its own shows how.
I thought it was just my old eyes, but okay, I'm glad you said that.
All right, let's go and which one has a bigger boot?
Both cars are small. One of the interiors feels smaller than the other, but now we're going to find out if that translates to the boot space, volume, size and shape as well. While we're in there, Alex, worth pointing out that this car, the Stonic...
Space saver. A couple of little features in here though worth pointing out. A couple of bag hooks under here, one underneath the parcel shelf, which is handy.
Speaking of the parcel shelf, we're going to rip that out for this test.
Good idea.
I think we probably should.
Boot size is 353 litres, which is actually larger than I was expecting. It's a decent size.
That's big.
Yes, it is.
Right, how do we do this? Let's
see how many boxes are going to fit.
That's a big one. Oh, that's like it was made for it. Try that. See if that will go.
Is that going to shut? 4 boxes? Good. No.
I don't want to pop the rear window out. No, it's not. Can we do a better job?
I think so.
I'm going to go little one first. That, yes. I like this. That one. Oh no.
Yeah, I think you're good. Yes, 4 boxes. Done.
Time for the CX-3. Obviously, take the parcel shelf out of this one as well.
And first impressions are...
Slightly more complex process for this one, yeah.
Don't wreck it. First impressions are much smaller boot, but your first impressions would be wrong because this has a false floor, which is actually really handy. You can remove it, but when you stick it in, gives you a nice little concealed section for your valuables if you want to leave them in the car.
I don't know what kind of valuables Alex is putting in there, but we'll take that out for the purposes of this test. We want maximised boot volume.
Yes.
Right, what was our strategy last time?
Well, it's 28 litres fewer in this one.
Oh, not looking good already. Do we not think like that? What about that?
I'm gonna have to lay them flat, I think.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go.
I'm gonna get 4 small ones in, I think.
Or are we?
Are we? Oh, here we go. 4 small ones, but we have
The big
left
one.
ourselves the large one. Okay, Dan, we've spent all day in the cars, and honestly, it's been much closer than I was expecting.
Absolutely couldn't agree more. What I think is so interesting is it's highlighted that although these two cars compete in exactly the same segment, they both bring really unique characters to the market. But that said, they also have very similar strategies and ways they go about attracting an audience.
And the thing for me is we probably haven't driven the CX-3 in its ideal environment where it really shines, which is out on the open road and in all-wheel drive guys. But to be fair, we are driving them where most people are going to be driving them, which is in the city. So this is a fair comparison. And right now in my head, I don't know which one I give the nod to. So I think we should go and put some scores on the doors.
The Stonic is nimble about town and light on its feet, but with more power and longer legs, the CX-3 is more fun everywhere else. The Mazda brings a lot for the cash, but a combination of long warranty and more affordable asking price means the Kia makes the most financial sense. Both the exterior and interior of the CX-3 feels compact and small, whereas the Stonic not only offers more space, it makes better use of it too. An unusually big boot and the lowest fuel consumption in practice are just 2 ways the Stonic is easiest to live with day to day. Kia's information and entertainment system is easily the most modern and impressive of the pair, but the Mazda has a more comprehensive selection of standard equipment all round. The Mazda CX-3 might be feeling its age in some areas, but it remains a strong performer and has the edge in quality and grunt. But in terms of value, space and practicality, the Kia Stonic is the clear winner.